Hello, and welcome to the Arcade Era Power Hour, episode 12? 12. Episode 12, where we shall talk about the many jobs of Mario.
Of one Mario.
Yeah, Mario's 10,000 hats. I don't know, I was trying to make some Dr. Seuss
Oh,
title out of that.
that's good. I like that. You could workshop that a little bit. That has potential.
I don't know, like my brain was going towards the 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T, but also Bartholomew Cubbins. And
I don't know what
yeah.
any of those are,
Oh,
but I do think we need a more catchy episode title than Mario's jobs.
yeah. Bartholomew Cubbins is a Dr. Seuss book. The 500 Hats of Bartholomew Cubbins is just about this boy who just has lots and lots of hats, and they keep appearing like he takes his hat off and there's another hat under it, and he gets in trouble because he can't take his hat off for the nobility, and they just keep
Oh,
spawning, and they eventually start getting more extravagant and stuff, and it's weird. The 5,000 Fingers of Dr. T is the one and only live action Dr. Seuss film that Dr. Seuss made himself.
oh,
And it's just weird. And is about young Bart Collins. Oh, I wonder if he wanted to make this also about Bartholomew Cubbins. Lives
ah,
with his widowed mother. The bane of Bart's existence is the hated piano lessons he endures with the tutelage of the autocratic Dr. Terwilliger. Bart feels that his mother's fallen under Terwilliger's influence and gripes to their plumber, blah 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 blah. Dozes off and enters a musical dream. In the dream, Bart is trapped at the surreal Terwilliger Institute, where the piano teacher is a madman dictator who has imprisoned non-piano playing musicians and has built a piano so large that it requires Bart and 499 other boys, hence 5,000 fingers, to play it. Uh, Bart's mother has become Terwilliger's hypnotized assistant and bride-to-be, and Bart must dodge the Institute's guards as he scrambles to save his mother and himself. But the entire film, like the aesthetic is also Dr. Seuss. So like the weird angles, and everyone is wearing these finger hats, and
gosh.
just it's fucking surreal. Anyway, yes. Hello. Welcome to the Arcade Era Power Hour, episode 12, the 500 Hats of Mario. And I'm
I don't
not
know
even
how much of that
sure
we're gonna keep, but
that's an exaggeration. Ah, yeah. What I'm saying is Mario's had a lot of jobs over the years.
who are you?
Who am I? Who am I?
Oh,
I've been
you're Jackie
watching Doctor
Chan.
Who. No,
Oh, okay.
that's the Eighth Doctor in the 1996 telemovie,
He does get
uh,
amnesia a lot.
subtitled in French, "The Lord of Time." So that's the official title, and no one will ever tell me differently. And he only gets amnesia like 3 times. Uh, but yes, it is a bit of a running gag. As for the question, I am Gibbon.
Oh, hi. How's it going?
it it goes. The plague is driving me insane, if you couldn't
Mm.
tell already. And I am joined today by my wonderful co-host.
Milo, that's me. Hello.
Hello. Before we get started, what prompted you to suggest this episode theme?
I guess what prompted me to have the idea for the episode, which was a while ago, was just looking at the list of the Game and Watch games where Mario bounces between different jobs all the time.
That's
And
fair.
but recently, there's been a development. We brought up Mario Kart Tour a few times on the news sections of these podcast episodes. This is the smartphone Mario Kart game that's been out recently, and it's
Mm.
got its updates every 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So not the most recent one, no, and not even the one before that because it was Hammer Bros before that, and we're up to Yoshi Easter now. So
Yeah.
in the time between the last episode and now, there was an update which was like the classic cup tour
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And the headline characters that they added to it were classic Mario and Luigi, and they were sort of palette swapped to look like they used to look back then, I guess.
Yeah, they were in their uh like reverse colors. Well, I guess the modern colors are the reverse colors technically. They were in the blue shirts and colored overalls instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, I'm just launching the game now so I can look at them and remind myself of the difference.
I deleted it to make more room
Oh, yeah.
because I needed to reinstall Animal Crossing and make room for Sinnoh Alice and some other upcoming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be crazy when Diablo Immortal comes out and I have to delete like half my phone's contents.
It sounds like you need a new phone. Um,
Eh.
so I would say that the colors are slightly less vibrant, maybe, but mostly they also seem to have changed the proportions. So it looks like Mario and Luigi are slightly more squat
Ooh.
to make them appear younger. So that's pretty interesting.
Oh.
But yeah, like you say, the main difference is swapping the color of the overalls and the shirt. And yeah, so it's sort of a throwback to the arcade era, which is what we cover here. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, good stuff. The Mario Kart Tour keeps putting out these wonderful costumes that are made for me specifically, but they're in such a horrible game.
Yeah, I've stopped playing it regularly myself, but I have saved up 450 rubies. So the next time they add
Oh God.
a headline character that I am interested in, I'm ready to pull that pipe to oblivion and get them guaranteed.
Nice.
Yeah. So they just need to add another Pauline skin, and I'll be on it.
I know, right?
So yeah, the fact that Mario and Luigi from the arcade era was sort of added to this in another instance of a time traveling Mario duplicate. You know, baby Mario's there already, but now we have slightly younger Mario. But that means that within the arcade era, there's another another role that Mario has been shown performing.
Ah, okay. So the context of these 500 hats of Mario are the jobs he held during the arcade era.
Well,
or
yeah.
at least within the remit of this site. We'll put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, let's put it that way. Because as we found out, we started listing out all the sports games that he's been in and the sports he's played in the Super Mario series, and there's a lot. So we're going to sort of limit it a little
just
bit.
between the sports mixes and Olympic Games spin-offs and just other stuff that doesn't quite fall within the site's remit.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing, even within our remit, which is, you know, the first, like, what is it, 5 years of the series, basically. There's still a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, basically, first 5
and
years.
you know, and anything that spun off from that era. You know what we do. This is DK Gerda.
This is episode 12. This is year 3 of the podcast. If you're listening so far, you know what's going on.
Hopefully.
But for those of you that don't, DK Girder is a site that covers the arcade Donkey Kong games and their lineage, such as the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games for the main branch, but also just sort of the non-Donkey Kong country branches of things. So,
and the non-Super Mario Brothers
and
branches.
the non-Super Mario Brothers branches, as well as just some other, in the spirit of things, predecessors to modern Rare and Mario and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and so most of our remit is sort of early '80s arcade and early home console stuff, but there's also a decent amount of modern day stuff these days. So,
yeah, we do sometimes get a new character in Mario Kart Tour or such.
yeah.
But yeah, having set that up pretty well there, let's get to the topic.
Let's get to it.
The way I see it, the modern series has this setting to it, And in the modern context, Mario is presented as a perennial plumber. But over the years, especially early on, he had so many different roles and different jobs. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. And we're going to sort of look at a list of games and other media and different jobs that he's had in those. And maybe it's a bit of fun. We can decide on whether he was doing a good job and whether we'll whether we'll hire him on or fire him from that job.
Oh, Lord. I think it's interesting to note that, plumber aside, he was sort of the everyman blue collar worker to start out with. And even though this started at the dawn of the 80s, I can kind of see that coming out of a depression mindset of just like, yeah, you go out and do blue collar work, whatever needs doing,
Odd
sort of
jobs.
thing. Yeah, odd jobs.
Hmm.
And early Mario very much comes across as that sort of New York immigrant doing whatever needs doing sort of character. Um, very, very American dream type, building himself up from nothing.
Yeah, and look how far he's come.
I know, right? So, to begin with, the game that started it all, Donkey Kong, we have Mario the Carpenter, which I think surprises some people that he didn't start out as a plumber, because as you say, he's now the perennial plumber. But he didn't start out that way. He was a carpenter at first.
Yes.
So.
Yep, there it is. So the US Flyer, 1981. Little Mario the Carpenter is in hot pursuit of you this very moment.
Okay then. Well, there you have it, folks.
So that was his role on the construction site that you see in Donkey Kong. And
yes.
You also see him in that role in Pinball for the NES, where he appears in the bonus room doing a little breakout type thing with Pauline there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And also any Game & Watch adaptations of Donkey Kong as well.
Yeah. So he was a carpenter for at least 1981, and I'd say, the better part of 1982. Before Donkey Kong Jr. and its various spin-offs and adaptations came out, where he's... What the heck is he in this game? He's like a trapper. He's got little mechanical bear traps and a whip. So like,
hold on, before we go on, do you think he's a good carpenter?
I've never actually seen him make anything.
That's a very good point. I'll bring up a little bit of evidence from a PC game that came out later on in 1992. It's called Super Mario Brothers and Friends When I Grow Up. And it's mostly based around the first 3 Super Mario Brothers games, as well as some Zelda 2 characters for some reason. But it shows Mario doing a whole bunch of different jobs. And I'll bring this up as a quickfire list later. It's not exactly arcade era. But in it's sort of an interactive coloring book. And one of the jobs that it shows Mario doing is carpenter. And it specifically says in the description that he's not very good at it. And you can
no.
You can see him in the picture. There's a bunch of, I quote, "From the looks of the playhouse he just built and all the bent nails on his new project, Mario doesn't yet have the skills to be a master carpenter. Maybe he'd better stick to being a plumber."
Wow. No wonder all of the activity book stuff that goes along with his carpentry job is just he's sort of the handyman guy who hammers nails back into place at the zoo and circus and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. I'm thinking of he's sort of a maintenance man. So as for being a specific carpenter, going by later evidence, I think it's best that he moved on to other jobs. Maybe it wasn't his strength.
Like criminal mastermind. As I said, mechanical bear traps. This is the first game where he demonstrates his amazing ability to make little living wind-up toys in the form of the Snapjaws. But he also carries around a whip, and he has a hideout Like, he straight
Yes,
up has an evil villain hideout. Like,
because he's
what?
the villain in that
Because
game.
he's the villain in this game.
Hmm.
He's also bad at it because he gets beat up by Donkey Kong Jr.
He sure does. Yeah, but what's the motivation for him capturing Donkey Kong? Like the implication from some media around that time is that he works for a zoo or a circus or something,
Yeah.
and he needs to recapture Donkey Kong to be an attraction at it, from which DK has escaped. Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
setup that the Saturday Supercade has as well. He and Pauline work for a circus, and they're trying to capture Donkey Kong.
Mhm. I think that's generally accepted across most mediums.
Yeah, it's he just doesn't have a specific job title for this junior era.
I still don't know why he has a hideout though.
Well, he has a castle in Super Mario Land
Yeah, but
too.
that's like after he becomes friends with royalty and
True.
saves the kingdom several times.
Yeah, yeah, I shouldn't have brought that up.
Um, but like him having hideout is weird. I don't I don't understand. Especially since the hideout is apparently on Donkey Kong Island.
Yeah, it could be a de facto like makeshift hideout. Like he just happened to be there, and that's where Senior Donkey Kong Senior is, and so he takes him there.
I suppose that's fair. Like to jump out of our remit very briefly.
Mm.
Donkey Kong Country Returns has a lot of throwbacks to the original Donkey Kong, so its worlds are all sort of uh, takes on the concepts from the original Donkey Kong Country worlds. So you have the factory world, which is sort of Crime Croc Industries, but it's also like very clearly supposed to be Mario's hideout from
Yeah,
Donkey Kong Jr.
you see 25 meters in the background of Factory at one point.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, is this stuff just like left over from when Mario was here and the Kremlings just moved their industrial complex in later? Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
I don't know. I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the zoo job is he lets Donkey Kong get away multiple times, so
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think
he
he's very
probably
good
got
at that either.
fired, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh man, So we then move on to something he's actually very good at.
Mm.
Demolitions. Destroying things. Um,
Yeah, not so good at building. He's better at tearing things down. And
yeah,
we see him do this in Wrecking Crew and also Versus Wrecking Crew, the
yeah.
two-player arcade spin-off, as well as Wrecking Crew '98, the SNES
Wrecking Crew
game.
98, which
Yeah,
comes much later,
yeah, much later.
timeline wise. But as far as Wrecking Crew and Versus Wrecking Crew are concerned, he was very, very good at this job, but also the foreman hated him. So
Yeah. So was that a personal issue, or did it have to do with his job performance? Maybe he was
I
too
don't
good at
know.
demolition.
They were playing golf together later peaceably, so
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
Spike is always portrayed as a bad guy,
He super is.
even if his appearance is very inconsistent between games.
It super is.
Does he have a huge bushy beard or not? Hmm.
Yeah. Is he just Waluigi? Did Waluigi shave his beard?
And this was the first appearance of Luigi. No, that can't be right. I guess Versus Wrecking Crew was a bit after Mario Brothers, but Luigi took
Yeah,
part
a
in
little
this
bit
as
after
well.
Mario Brothers, but
Yeah,
I want to say the second Mario in the opening animation of Donkey Kong Jr. is Luigi.
I believe it. Back when he was dressing identically to his brother.
Yep, which also means
Hmm.
Luigi's complicit. Um,
They're
um,
equally villains.
yeah, he was pretty good at demolitions. I'd hire him to come, tear down my place. He does this a lot in Super Mario World. At the end of each castle, he just wrecks the place in
That's
a
true,
little
and he has lots of
animation.
creative ways of doing it too.
Yeah, he's very well versed in how to take down a structure quickly.
Yeah, you definitely see him do it a lot in Wrecking Crew, and um, it doesn't seem like there's too much collateral damage, so that's good.
I wonder if he just like completed all the work. Like it's like, oh, you tore down 100 buildings. There's nothing left to do in this industry in this
The
town.
whole city is a wasteland now.
You
Thanks, I
gotta make
guess.
room for more construction sites.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, then he and his brother
Hmm.
move into plumbing, or maybe go back to plumbing, depending on the continuity here.
Yeah, there's some continuities where they're born and raised plumbers of many generations of plumbers. Um, I'm thinking of like the Valiant comics where you see their baby albums and
Hmm.
they are born with a plunger in their hand, basically.
Or the Super Show, where there's episodes about them going to plumber school and stuff. And,
Oh, yeah. And in fact, the movie where
yeah.
the plumbing business is a very important and core
Hmm.
part of their family heritage.
Yeah, but I can easily imagine them doing odd jobs on the side to put food on the table.
That makes sense. Even in the movie, money's tight because they're not getting many jobs and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scapelli.
Scapelli.
Mm-hmm. He. I'd say he's a plumber more often than not in this early era. You got lots of different takes on Mario Bros. You got Mario Bros. And the Punch Ball and the Special, and Clash came later. But then
Virtual
you've also
Boy.
just got
Yeah.
all the takes on the original Mario Bros. As well, like Luigi Bros. And Return of Mario Bros. And whatnot.
Yeah, it was a really important and influential game.
It super was.
I'm thinking of there's been some fan art that you retweeted recently that imagine the Mario Brothers as not specifically like domestic or commercial plumbers, but more municipal or city construction workers who are working on really big water mains. And that's more the kind of thing that you see in Mario Brothers. They're
Yeah.
underground in these huge pipes.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't wonder why there was never a Ninja Turtles crossover.
Are they in Brooklyn?
Yeah. Like, it just seems like a no-brainer.
When I watched Into the Spider-Verse and Kingpin has a giant like particle accelerator or whatever he's got, which is underneath the streets of Brooklyn, I'm like, I wonder if there's any shell creepers down there. Yeah.
Just a reminder that Ninja Turtles are canon to the Marvel Universe because they share an origin story with Daredevil. But anyway.
The ooze.
Yeah, actually.
Wow. Nice.
The ooze that hit Daredevil in the face is the canister then falls down the sewers and creates the Ninja Turtles. That's literally their origin story.
Awesome. Now we need to work Mario in there somehow.
In fact, Ninja Turtles is basically a giant parody of the early gritty Daredevil spin-off.
Yeah.
Because Daredevil was originally a guest character in Spider-Man before he got his own solo series, which made him rebooted him as grim and gritty. And gave him his origin story. And so the Ninja Turtles is just a complete parody of that, which is why it's the Foot Clan instead of the Hand like Daredevil fights.
Yes,
and
that's
stuff
right.
like that.
That's right.
But yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, so let's keep him on as a plumber. I think
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
demonstrated an aptitude at that, I think.
Yeah, basically. He's at least the municipal plumbering. I don't know about local stuff. Like, I don't know if I'd ask him to come fix my toilet, but if I needed to, have him go take care of something in the sewers.
He's an honest guy. I would trust him with my toilet.
I mean, I imagine he means well, but I don't know if he knows what he's doing.
I'm thinking of the movie. He's definitely an expert there.
That's fair.
Yeah. Whenever I think of Mario, the movie really comes to mind.
I know,
really
right?
Up front in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just
As
me.
it should.
Yeah.
And to further demonstrate how good he is with his hands, I wonder if he was one of the kids kidnapped by Mr. Williker.
Oh, great. Now I have to leave that in.
Because Mario can also play the piano.
That's right. So this game wasn't actually released, but Donkey Kong no Ongaku Asobi, or Donkey Kong's Fun with Music, was supposed to be a spin-off on the NES in the same line as Donkey Kong Jr. Math and English with Popeye. And yeah, there's a few screenshots of it, but the game itself never actually came out. But we do see in those screenshots that Mario's sitting at a grand piano and playing it.
For a game that never came out, it sure gets referenced a lot.
Yeah, you get Cranky with the cello or the double bass,
Yeah.
which he had in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Junior's on the drums.
And Pauline is a singer, obviously.
Yeah, it's all there.
Yep.
It's great.
Crazy stuff.
I will ask though, is him playing the piano in this case strictly a job or is it more a hobby?
I kind of feel like if he had the ability to make bank as a pianist, he would be.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's clear that Pauline does do it professionally. We see her,
That's
later
true.
in later appearances as a singer, and in the coloring book, she is like her job is owner of nightclub and also singer at that nightclub.
Yep.
So if she's a professional and he's backing her up, but then maybe they're just doing that on the side as a couple thing.
Maybe he was an early member of her band
Sure.
when she was starting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we see Mario playing other instruments later? We must do.
I assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We see him doing the little mariachi thing, among other things.
Oh, in Kicks?
In Kicks and Mario Odyssey later with the
Oh, yeah,
Kicks
yeah, yeah.
costume.
Sure.
But I'm sure he's played other stuff beyond that.
In Tetris on the NES, him and Luigi were just dancing. They weren't actually playing instruments.
He's played a variety of instruments in Mario Party games.
Okay. Sure.
But like the point, those are kind of like who plays it the least worst sort of things. But yeah, you're right. He also does some dancing on the side.
Mm.
He's quick on his feet, as we've seen in many, many games.
Yep. Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix.
Ooh, yeah, good call.
Yeah. So Dancing Stage is the PAL name of the series, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's also a certified boxing referee, apparently.
That's so funny. This is in Punch Out and also Super Punch Out.
Yeah.
This is, I think, like Miyamoto or somebody didn't even know about it. Like they put him in just because.
Wow. And considering
sort of without permission or
DK and
something.
Junior are in the crowd, this is one of those franchises I've been like, wait, do we cover this? You know?
It's on the games list on dkgota.com.
Oh, I guess we do. Cool. It tells you how long it's been since I've... No, I update that list semi-regularly, but there's a lot of games on the list. So...
Yeah, sure are, yeah. Yes. Boxing referee.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, but he's
Yep.
there.
He's super there.
Yeah.
He's the referee in at least one of the early ones.
Mm.
And that's a thing you have to be like certified for. Like boxing has a board behind it. So,
I think he even follows through into the Punch Out comic from Valiant Comics in the Nintendo Comic System.
is his ref outfit in Mario Odyssey?
I want to say no, but I don't actually own it.
Quick search says no, but who knows? There's so many outfits in that. I played the game to completion, and I don't remember half the content because it was just like a solid week of Mario. Basically, like 8 hours a day. There was so much stuff in that game.
Yeah, he's wearing white shirt, suspenders, and a bow tie, but he's still got his red hat on. So he's on brand.
That's the important part.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of this is when he's living in Brooklyn, in our world, doing all these odd jobs. Boxing referee's kind of a step up. That's probably pretty well paid. But like you were saying earlier, he had the experience with the mechanical contraptions and devices in Junior when he was trying to recapture Senior. And that follows through into some of the arcade lineage games in the Mario versus Donkey Kong series.
Where he You know what? Let's just say his evil lair in Donkey Kong Jr. was the first iteration of his toy factory where he was making the Snapjaws.
I like that a lot. That really works. Yeah.
Because he's established a toy company and factory in Mario vs. Donkey Kong, where he makes little wind-up mini Mario toys.
Hmm.
The ego on this guy. Uh, Funded by his ex-girlfriend's money.
Exactly. Yeah,
Just
this is the
no
time, like you
shame.
said, he's in the Mushroom Kingdom. He's made a name for himself. He's gotten
Yeah.
delusions of grandeur. He's built a castle.
Hmm.
And so he started a company making toys based on his own likeness,
Yep.
which, is better than farming out your likeness to somebody else, I suppose.
I mean, you know who else does that? Bowser.
Yes. Mecha
So,
Koopas.
just saying. Which never showed up in the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, oddly enough. You'd
Yeah,
think
that's
that'd be a
really weird.
no-brainer.
Sure.
But I guess they don't want to detract from Donkey Kong. So,
Sure, but even in Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge, you have Mini Bowser.
oh shit, you're right. That's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, it is.
Huh. Huh. Weird. But yeah, so he owns and operates this toy company along with Pauline, and they eventually hire Donkey Kong to work for them. Or at
Yeah,
least
they do.
Pauline hires Donkey Kong. Mario didn't seem to know or care that he was on the payroll. Um, Mario's kind of an asshole in this series.
Yes, this is my yes. I agree. Yeah, he started this company and then he sort of moved on to something else and stopped paying attention, I guess.
He gradually became one of those owners that occasionally shows up at the factory to look around the floor and go, yes, yes, everything's in order, but doesn't actually take part in the day-to-day anymore.
Yeah, the whole Mario series is about Mario's journey from a blue collar everyman to a white collar one percenter, basically.
Oh, super. Which, on the other end of the spectrum, you have Donkey Kong in the tie representing the man at the top of the high castle that Mario topples to begin with, and then, we get to the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series where Donkey Kong's just one of the workers who's getting harassed by the boss.
Yeah, and he starts out as just a customer wanting to buy one of the toys, right?
And he loves them so much, he joins the factory and just gets shit from his boss day in and day out. But
Constantly,
his love
yeah.
of the job keeps him around.
This is a very interesting alternate interpretation of Donkey Kong's character.
Alternate. I don't know what you're talking about. But yes, the success of the toy company eventually leads to merchandising and a theme park.
Yeah, it must be successful. He sells out all the toys in the first game,
Yeah.
and then he spins it off into a theme park based on the toy line, which is interesting, just like Legoland or something.
Yeah. I'd like to note you list all the games after the first one as being the
theme park.
Yes, words, face noises, being the theme park. But the theme park actually begins in Miniland Mayhem. March of the Minis and Minis March Again are still the factory.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw there was at some point it was called Super Mini Mario World, and then it became Miniland later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then Miniland Mayhem, Minis on the Move, and Mario and Donkey Kong. Is that Minis on the Move?
I think it is.
The next three. Tipping Stars.
Yeah.
Tipping Stars is also
Tipping Stars.
the theme park.
Oh, I didn't write that down. Oh, okay. Yep.
And Tipping Stars, the last one with a real plot, just showcases Mario's level of assholishness and the amount his friends put up with this. In that the entire plot, basically Pauline's gone missing and Donkey Kong's running around and Mario just goes, oh, it must be him, and chases Donkey Kong around all of the lands, trying to get Pauline back from him. And then the end of the game is a reveal that it's Mario's birthday, and Pauline was setting up a surprise party for him, and knew that to keep him distracted, all she needed to do was have Donkey Kong run in front of him. That's literally the plot of the game. Is Pauline goes, "Oh, I know. He'll just fucking chase Donkey Kong all day, assuming he's up to no good." And that'll give us
Yeah.
plenty of time to set up the surprise party. And Mario literally just has this dumbfounded, like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll enjoy the party" moment.
Yeah, even in some of the games where Mario is the playable protagonist, he is the villain.
Yeah, yep. It's great. But yeah, so we went from some frankly poor carpentry up to um, owning and operating a toy franchise and theme park. That's pretty good.
Mm,
Veritable Walt Disney.
yes.
I wonder if in one of the Dylan's games we're gonna find a bunker with Mario's frozen head or something.
Or in Splatoon. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, along the way, there were many diversions
Yes,
and side projects that he worked
this is
on.
true.
We should probably cover Game and Watch next because that sort of fits into that
Yeah,
early era, I think.
that's true. True.
Yeah.
So across the Game and Watch games, he had many
I,
more.
yeah, I sort of listed them by platforms
Yeah.
or like we've done all the console games
Subcategory.
essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but to go back in the Game and Watch era, this is back in the early days when, like we say, he was bouncing between odd jobs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I really find this era fascinating because it plants Mario in as the original idea for him, basically, where he was Mr. Video and everyman who could go into any situation,
Mm-hmm.
and he would be the constant. But you could put him in like a cartoon character, like a Bugs
Yeah.
Bunny or anything.
The
You just put
Versus
him in
Arcade
where
Flyer
you need him.
really accentuates this concept.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll bring that up later. Yeah, or now. I don't know.
Like, I don't have the flyer in front of me, but it's
I do.
just. Oh, okay. But I believe he's like in a war game and a football game and some golf and the versus ice climbers. According to this
Yeah,
flyer, features
yeah,
Mario.
absolutely. Which
And
is another reason why we cover it, apart from them
yes,
featuring nitpickers.
yes,
But
totally
yeah,
not a reverse
like you
engineered
say,
excuse.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you say, you can check out this flyer for the Nintendo Versus system. We'll put a link on it in the show notes, but it's basically like a wall of Mario faces showing all the different games that are in the Versus system line. So I could just read them, I guess. Versus tennis, versus baseball, versus golf, versus pinball. Not strictly a job, but he's standing there playing a pinball machine. And then, of course, you have versus ladies golf with Pauline, but then everything else is
Lady,
Mario.
yeah.
Versus Excite Bike, versus Ice Climber, versus Hogan's Alley, where he's a cop,
Mm.
versus Duck Hunt, versus Nintendo 500, a car racing game, versus Motocross, a motorbike racing game, versus Raid on Bungling Bay, where he's a pilot, versus Soccer, versus Heli Fighter, a helicopter pilot, and versus Football, that's American football gridiron.
Okay then.
Yeah. And many of these are in the arcade era, basically,
Yeah.
judging by the time they were released. So this one flyer is like a treasure trove of Mario lore, basically. Because there's no in-game evidence in almost any of these games that Mario is participating.
Yeah.
But
Even in some of the games where it's like blatantly Mario on the cover of the
Yeah.
game, like the early tennis or early golf.
yeah,
um,
Golf, Alleyway, and
in game,
some
I
other
will
ones.
very much admit he looks a lot like Captain Lou. But not necessarily Mario proper, if you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, from that same era, the Game and Watch games, where he in the original Mario Bros. Game and Watch game, which is absolutely nothing like the arcade title of the same name, uh, he's working as a bottling plant worker.
Yeah.
I actually own this one.
Cool.
Yeah, it's not sitting behind me. Where is it? Weird. I forgot I cleaned up my desk area. And then in Cement Factory, he's working at a cement factory. In Bombs Away, he's a soldier
In the Vietnam War.
in the sure Vietnam War.
Well, we assume
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, like I mean, it's got to be that war, considering the time frame and the visuals, I guess. Um,
Yeah, the jungle background.
yeah.
Do you think he was conscripted?
Uh, who knows? Who knows?
I'm gonna say yes.
Hmm. I don't know. He was
I
also a
wanted to.
cop, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah, true. So he has training with firearms.
Mhm.
I did want to go a little bit deeper on Bombs Away because that's probably the most different one that really transplants him to a different
It
location.
really is, and that's not one of those ones where it's like, oh, this is Mario on the cover, but there's no in-game evidence. It's literally called Mario's Bombs Away, and the
It's the title.
LCD
Yeah.
sprite does look like Mario.
Yeah,
Well,
and
eh.
you do get Luigi accompanying him, like in the Game and Watch Mario Brothers, and he's in. Is he in Cement Factory?
That's a good question. Yes, he is.
Okay, cool. So that means that you've got these games with Mario in the title, where Luigi comes with him. So in Bombs Away, there's another character called Buddy, or like Mario's buddy, who you're sort of delivering bombs to and from. Do you think Luigi is one of these other characters? Is my question. Um,
Mm, that's a good question.
because he has like these fellow soldiers in the same platoon or whatever.
You know what? This came out in November of 1983. I'm gonna say it's Stanley.
That's cool. I like that. The graphics in the game, you can't see a moustache on the other characters.
Yeah.
So Stanley actually fits better than Luigi in this case.
Mhm.
That must be where they met.
There's the guy tossing down the bombs.
Yep.
There's a guy you're delivering the bombs to.
There's a guy who
Uh,
is carelessly smoking near a spilled oil slick.
Spilled oil slick. It's unclear which of these are buddies and which of these are enemies.
The one in the tree is the enemy.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to light the fuse of the bomb.
And then there is a mandrill as the alarm monkey, which I'm convinced is Baboom, who later returns in Tropical Freeze.
I buy it. I buy it.
Yeah, which is where he finds his love of bombs.
Even though it's on the other side of the world.
Yeah, whatever. It's
Yeah.
the Mario world.
Is it?
It's the world in which the games take place. What world that
Sure.
is? Yeah.
Unclear.
Unclear. But yeah, Mario's Bombs Away. Such an odd entry to the Mario corpus of games.
Hmm.
Um,
When did the Vietnam War end?
it's a good question. I should know this. It ended in 75.
Okay, so it's a little bit anachronistic.
It's less than a decade out.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And it does sort of fit with that, like, recovering economy after a war, people just taking jobs.
Yeah, it absolutely fits. But in terms of the chronology, this might actually predate Donkey Kong.
Ooh, that's a good point.
So this might be Stanley's first appearance if we're saying, if we're going to
I don't
plant that
know.
flag.
Weird. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
cool. We're going to have to do a part 2 to our Stanley episode. Any character that's not positively identified is
Yeah,
Stanley.
yeah. All the further games we have determined were actually Stanley the whole time.
Yeah.
You also have DK Circus.
Yes.
And
So that's clearly in the circus
that's
backstory.
clearly in a circus.
Yeah.
Which many people
With him actively tormenting
actively
DK Senior.
tormenting DK and laughing at
Yep.
him and stuff.
Yep.
To give you an idea, this was a sprite swap of another Game & Watch game, which was just Mickey's Circus,
Okay.
where it's Mickey on a ball in the middle instead of a barrel, and Donald on the side just being Donald at him. And Mario takes Donald's place and just does the exact same stuff. So if you imagine early Donald Duck, where he's just a little shit and laughing at Mickey all the time, yeah, that's Mario. Uh,
Yeah, this is another of those games where Mario is clearly the villain and the Kongs are the sympathetic
yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Donkey Kong Hockey, the original sports title.
Yeah. And this is field hockey.
And this is field hockey.
Yeah, this is one of those competitive one-on-one game and watch games, which was pretty interesting. One player is Senior and one is Mario.
Yeah, yeah. I maintain that the Bongos should have had a new GameCube iteration of Donkey Kong Hockey.
Ooh. Yes. And a pinball game. I'm really...
Yeah, there's a couple just obvious things like pinball, hockey, or at least some, I don't know, simplified version of hockey. There's a lot you can do with two-button stuff. So, like, I'm not sure why they didn't do more with the bongo peripheral, since, like, they just sort of decided during that era that, okay, Donkey Kong games play with this. And I don't know why they didn't go all in on it.
Yeah.
I don't know. They clearly like the controller. They keep repatenting it.
But they're not making it anymore, are they?
No, they're not making it anymore, but it is theoretically compatible with the Switch. And they've got a patent for that.
Oh.
Yep. I don't know. Moving on. That covers a lot of the games.
But there's those like other kind of sports things and spin-offs.
Yeah, yeah.
So like we said earlier, there's way too many sports games with Mario in them. But if we're just looking at the sort of arcade era or anything covered under our site, then, well, we talked about DK Hockey already, but there's other sort of spin-off ones.
Yes, yes.
He appears in early golf games and tennis games. They have sections on the games list on DK Girder.
As does Super Mario Kart, and I guess now Mario Kart Tour.
Yes, that should be added to that. So yeah, he's got these sort of athletic tendencies even early on, as sort of the face of every kind of game, putting him in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, these early sports games have him on there as well. So he's demonstrated proficiency in at least car racing and tennis and golf, as well as 150 other sports.
Yep.
Yeah.
Basically.
But what I found pretty interesting was when I thought about, because I did a lot of this by looking at that same games list and sort of scanning through them and saying, okay, what is Mario doing in this game? What is he doing in that game? We have a couple of the Mario RPG games listed here, namely Super Mario RPG on the SNES and Superstar Saga on the Game Boy Advance.
Yes.
And when I think about what his role is in those games, the NPCs in the game, like the Toads and other characters that are around, they all know who he is. He's famous, and he is treated as a hero.
Yeah.
He's like a professional hero adventurer kind of thing, whose job it is to take down Bowser, essentially.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, after Super Mario Bros. 1, he's just kind of the resident hero?
Yeah, that's it. Sort of the leader of the knights of the kingdom or something, even though he doesn't have anyone under him. Yeah, he's sort of or he's more like, because he's always in his little house on the outskirts of town, right?
Pipe house.
He's like the retired, grizzled warrior who, whenever something big is going down, like the royal emissaries get sent out to him and say, please come and aid our kingdom.
I've been playing a lot of Doom recently, and in Doom Eternal, it's the exact same setup. Doomslayer lives off in his Fortress of Doom, and you found out that he, after Doom 64, where he just decided to stay in hell and beat up demons for the rest of eternity, he was eventually found by this fantasy kingdom, basically, and takes on the Mario role, where he just steps in and beats up the bad guys, and then becomes the resident hero.
So
Only in this
Mario
case
is
there
Doom
were
Guy.
knights under him, but I guess you can kind of categorize them the same as the mushroom retainers because they all look the same and they all died. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It's a common trope.
oh man, there's even evil ones that are analogous to the Goombas. Wow. Anyway, but yeah, common trope as you say.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh god,
Um,
Mario's an isekai. Anyway.
oh, yes,
Oh
you're
no.
right.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I. Oh no.
There have been a couple of Mario anime, but not like that.
Not like that. Oh man. I feel like I need to tweet that out or something.
Because the movie is that story.
Oh
The,
god.
the story of Mario going from Brooklyn in the real world to being a hero in the Mushroom Kingdom is sort of a meta story of the series.
I'm tweeting it out right now.
But you don't often see it actually happening, except like the intro to the Super Show. But you see it happen from start to finish within the 1993 movie. And that's another of the many reasons why I love the movie.
Yeah.
I do want to do an episode at some point where we cover those kinds of bridging narratives, because DK94 is also one like that. And there's a
very true.
level in Super Mario Maker that shows Mario in Brooklyn.
Ooh.
Like, this is one of the pre-made downloadable ones.
In Super Mario Maker 1?
Yes, and then you go through a pipe and you end up in the Mushroom Kingdom. It's
Do I even
amazing.
own Super Mario Maker 1? Wow. Okay.
But that's for a
Crazy.
future episode.
Okay. Yeah. Should write that in our show notes things.
Mm.
Because that's a fascinating show topic. I like that. Where were we? Oh, right. Other media. This was a nice
Well,
bridge into other media and the Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, exactly.
movie.
So we talked about how later on he sort of becomes a hero, but
Yeah.
yeah, we've talked about the games, we've talked about the spin-offs. Let's talk about other media.
Yeah.
So several times this episode I've brought up the Super Mario Brothers movie, the live action 1993 movie with Bob Hoskins and etc. And yeah, this is one of the instances where he's clearly deadlocked into this plumber role,
Yeah.
from everlasting to everlasting, and certainly seems to be doing well at it. I don't know if it's a deleted scene. Yeah, it is, when he gets called into the restaurant, and the Scapellis are also called in because it's an emergency, and it's whoever gets there first.
Yeah.
And they're in there saying, "Oh, this job is going to take days. It's going to cost heaps." And he comes in and he goes, "This is just, you can replace a washer and you'll be good. Like, it's a 10-minute job." But Scapelli has the muscle, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's lots of times in the movie where he demonstrates a proficiency with plumbing, and especially in comparison to Luigi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The younger twin. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the other thing about the different continuities. How old are they in relation to each other?
Well, I mean, okay, I feel Yoshi's Island does kind of account for that, in the fact that if you're counting being born as the point where the stork let go of them, Mario is clearly the older twin by a large margin.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I don't know how long that game takes.
Mario's got a lot of preloaded age before they get dropped off at their parents' house.
Yeah, that's how age works.
You know what? So yeah. Speaking of other viewable adaptations, Saturday Supercade, as we mentioned previously, he's working as a employee of the circus of some sort, and is at the very least tasked with getting Donkey Kong back, which he does an atrocious job of, and presumably gets let go.
Yeah, how many episodes are there? Like 20? And every time DK gets away.
Yep.
And we briefly talked about the coloring books as well.
Yeah.
In those, there's story elements to the coloring pages
where
he's a carpenter.
Oh yeah, a more competent carpenter / handyman at the circus, because we actually get to see him doing stuff.
And the other thing is the Donkey Kong long playing record.
Yeah. Someday I'm going to
Donkey
track down a
Kong.
copy of that.
Do, 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 do.
Um,
Donkey Kong.
it's crazy that this exists.
It's
But in
really
this, he
cool.
runs a pizzeria.
Yeah, you can hear it on YouTube. But yeah, he runs the pizzeria. He does the cooking, and Pauline does the deliveries.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
very
it's great.
explicitly stated. Yep.
Yeah, do you think that's maybe leaning into stereotypes too much?
I don't know. I kind of feel like the Italian with a pet ape is already leaning into stereotypes because I've seen that pop up elsewhere. I haven't really been able to track down any, like, literature on that stereotype, but I've seen it pop up in enough places that I'm like, okay, this has to come from somewhere. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, either way, this is another example of him being a small business owner, which is
yeah,
interesting.
that's true.
Yeah. So he's working for himself instead of contracts or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And being a chef, which doesn't come up that often. Yoshi's Cookie, he bakes biscuits.
Yeah. He's working at a cake factory in the Game & Watch Gallery remake of Mario Bros.
Yes. But he's kind of a lowly...
Yeah, it's like an automated assembly place.
He's not doing any cooking, really.
No.
Yeah.
And then I see he's held a job or two in the manga adaptations.
Yeah, so KC Deluxe we've talked about before, I think especially on the Pauline episode, where it sort of expands on the backstory of DK94, essentially.
Yeah.
This was printed in Comic Bomb Bomb magazine and written and drawn by Kazuki Motoyama. And yeah, this is part of the DK94 adaptation. DK Jr. is a trapeze artist with Pauline, but he decides he doesn't want to perform that night. So instead, and Peach runs this circus, by the way. It's Peach's circus, and Pauline works at it. Mario and Luigi come there looking for a job, and she hires them on, and they basically impersonate Junior for the purposes of the show. So Luigi is crouched down, Mario is standing on his shoulders, and they're inside a big a onesie or like a suit, a gorilla suit, you know, pretending to be Junior and doing the acrobat show. And it all comes undone when they hold on to opposite trapezes and the suit rips in the middle and they fall out. It must have been pretty horrifying for the audience. But yeah, they obviously didn't do too well at that because they ruined the entire act on their first night. They even got through
part of a routine as a guy on another guy's shoulder doing trapeze work.
That's true. It is pretty impressive that they got that far.
Like, I'm legit impressed that worked at all. So
well, it really fits in with DK94, especially where you see Mario doing these handstands and backflips and all sorts of things.
That was the first game where he was ridiculously acrobatic.
Yeah.
Doing his triple jumps and flippy flips and other stuff, and predating Super Mario 64 by a year or so. So.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Really good stuff. So that's all I had really on the different games and the different roles he had.
Yeah.
And you can see it's quite a broad spectrum. I did briefly mention before the computer game Super Mario Brothers and Friends When I Grow Up. Do you want me to give you a quick list of all the jobs that he's shown doing in that?
Yeah, this is a long list. Go for it.
Chef, attorney, race car driver, scientist, medical doctor, astronomer, carpenter, disc jockey, firefighter, professional rugby player, computer programmer, armed forces pilot, forest ranger, farmer, marine biologist, plumber, zookeeper, police, homemaker, barber, astronaut, and pharmacist.
He does actually manage to have some of those jobs later in life.
But is he qualified for any of them?
Oh, God, no. Even with as good a plumber as he is, given his track record, I'm certain he's not qualified at all. Hasn't been certified, isn't part of any trade union.
Okay, then. So of the many jobs given, you have to pick one job that Mario is going to do for you.
Oh,
Which one
God.
do you think he's going to be best at?
Oh, lordy. Oof. You know what? He's shown himself to be a really good toy maker, so I'm just gonna go with that one.
Cool. I'm going to pick the pizzeria job from the LP
Ooh.
because I always say that no pizza is bad pizza. Any pizza is good pizza. So even if he's not that good at it, you still get a pizza at the end of the day.
I said,
And
that's fair.
and in this time of self-isolation, as we are in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, Pauline can bring the pizza to my door and leave it there, and I can pick it up, and you don't have to have any contact.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Oh man, we actually managed to stick to just about an hour this time.
Do you want to do plugs?
Yeah, we should totally do plugs.
Cool.
Um,
All right. That's it for the episode. This was a really fun one. I had a blast recording it. Gibbon, do you have any plugs for this time period?
Fresh on my mind is for a couple different reasons is Sonic 3D Blast Director's Cut.
Is that finally finished?
That finished a while ago, but it's fresh on my mind
okay.
because the repro cart I ordered finally arrived after being delayed because of parts shipments because they had to be manufactured in China.
Oh, wow. So this is the Mega Drive version, right?
This is the Mega Drive version.
Because there was a Saturn version as well.
There is a Saturn version.
I guess a repro CD is a lot easier to do, right?
I don't know if the director's cut has actually been applied to the Saturn's version. I would love it if somebody would go in and mod the Saturn version. That would be pretty great. But in the meantime, we have the Mega Drive version.
Yeah.
And the story of this is was he the or just one of the original programmers for Sonic 3D Blast, the original 3D Sonic title. Well, that's a little disingenuous. Sonic had lots of 3D segments. This was the first fully quote-unquote 3D Sonic title with pre-rendered graphics and an isometric view.
What about Sega Sonic the Hedgehog?
Good point.
Sorry, just to cut in, John Burton is the sole listed programmer, program design and implementation for the game.
For the days when one guy was the developer of games, and you, I miss those days. I went through college for this stuff, and right as I was finishing up my degree where I learned how to program an entire game from scratch in Notepad by myself and compile it on the command line, like Unity and Unreal came out, and you can now just make games by dragging and dropping assets into a thing and pressing play, and I'm like, what did I learn all this for? No, it's really handy knowledge. I appreciate it.
And sorry, again, according to Moby Games, the Saturn version was also the same guy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I know that he, at the very least, had a Mega Drive dev kit lying around his house.
Right.
So when all of the Sega dumped a lot of their backlog on Steam and made them mod accessible, he took it upon himself to dig out the old dev kit and do some decompiling and recompiling and just do some gameplay tweaks and changes he has apparently wanted to make to the game and put it out as as well, I don't know if official's the correct word, but as a from the maker of mod on Steam. And he went in, he made the camera a lot better. It follows Sonic around better and works a lot better in boss fights. He adjusted. Did he adjust Supersonic or just add Supersonic straight up? Was he even in the original?
I don't know anything about 3D Blast, sorry.
Oh, he put in some enemies that were in the game but not utilized. He made some tweaks to level geometry and smoothed out some things. He adjusted flicky AI behavior. He just made a bunch of little tweaks and quality of life improvements throughout the game, and compiled it up and released it as a patch that you can apply in Steam through legitimate sources, and play this nice director's cut of the game. And I really, I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the podcast, but I really love games from that aesthetic era right before we jumped to like the Saturn and Nintendo 64. So stuff like Super Mario 64 or Sonic 3D Blast, stuff with that sort of pre-rendered isometric aesthetic. They've even sort of got the same color palettes to them as
Yeah, I
they
can see
went
that.
for that
Yeah.
style. And like there was this a weird Kirby golf game. um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Kirby's Dream Course has
Dream
sort of
Course,
that
yeah.
thing going for it, and just broadening
And
the
any
scope a little
tactics
bit.
game from that era as well.
Well, Tactics Team did the isometric view, but they didn't do the pre-rendered graphics. If we're going for the
Yeah.
pseudo 3D stuff, we could expand a little bit and include like Star Fox 1 and 2. The sort of like trying to get 3D before 3D graphics processing was really a thing, which is like another thing that drew me to like the Donkey Kong Country titles in the first place.
Mm. Mm.
So sort of that ACM rendering and trying to get 3D aesthetic going on. I really love that. So being one of the few non-Nintendo games to do that, Sonic 3D Blast holds a special place in my heart, and I'm glad that it got this improvement, and that I now have a physical copy of it. So that's my plug.
Yeah. It's really cool that the original developer went back and sort of made a definitive edition of it like 25 years later.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's really cool.
It's great.
So my plug, I was thinking about plugging Cats 1998. So I'll just say, just check out an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. It doesn't matter which one; they're all fun.
That's fair.
But I've had so many Cat songs stuck in my head for the last few days. Lots of fun.
That's also fair.
But what I'm actually going to plug, because it's been bringing me lots of joy, is Rayman Origins. This is a game I've played a few times over the years in different forms. I keep rebuying it and replaying it. And it really
That's
is,
legit.
for me, almost the pinnacle of 2D platformers. It's beautiful looking. It plays so smoothly and so beautifully. You know, great level design. A whole bunch of playable characters, although most of them are teensy. So that's one thing where the sequel really improved on it. But in most ways, I really prefer Origins to Legends. And I've been playing it on the Vita, which is an edition that got extra collectibles added, much in the same way that Donkey Kong Country 2 Game Boy Advance edition got extra stuff put in.
What did it get added to it?
So there's these little stones that sort of appear in the foreground and background, and you have to tap the touchscreen to collect them. And they're hidden in different areas of the levels. And so as you're running through, suddenly you hear a sound, and you have to sort of scour the area, and they're hidden really deceptively a lot of the time. But
Interesting.
yeah, so that makes that version of it just have a little added something extra.
What do they do?
What they do in the snoring tree, you go back and there's extra rooms where there's murals on the wall. And each one you get unlocks part of the mural, and you sort of see a story, like a sort of tapestry, or well, it's a mural, showing kind of the backstory of Rayman and Glowbox in its stylized art style.
Nice. That thing that they meant to put in the game but didn't. Cool.
Yeah, so a friend of ours, Laureline, recently asked me if I would consider it the definitive version, and I said yes at the time, but since then I've had this recurring issue with the sound where certain sounds and music stops playing. So the Vita version has bugs, but it's still an excellent version of the game, and any version that you can get a hold of,
I wonder if
I
it's
would recommend.
PSTV compatible, because I have one of those now.
Oh, well, you know all the touchscreen stuff I just mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that wouldn't work on the PSTV at all,
the
would it?
PSTV can play games that have touchscreen stuff, and what it does is
Yeah.
it maps it to one of the sticks and just does a little virtual hand on the screen that you can click
Oh,
with.
okay. So maybe.
But there's a lot of games that, on an operating system level, there's an arbitrary blacklist of games that it's just like
Oh.
the development team or publisher or whatever said no, don't allow this to be played on the PSTV. However, you can hot mod your PSTV to just delete that blacklist file and play those games anyway. So, like many PlayStation systems, it's really easy to fuck with.
Yeah, it's on the store, so yes, it's compatible.
Ooh, excellent. I might have to do that then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a PSTV for Persona 4 Golden, and then just decided to look at all the other games I could play on it. Which is why at some point I will be going through Silent Hill. I've already forgotten the name of that Vita exclusive Silent Hill title, which is blacklisted, and I will have to mod to play.
Oh. Okay, so Origins has this extra content, but the caveat is it only supports single player, and the co-op features are one of the really great things about Origins.
I'm going to be honest,
but anyway,
I didn't even know Origins had co-op features because I've never used them.
It's got 4-player co-op, which makes the shoot 'em up levels a lot more manageable, especially when you're going for gold medals.
Ooh.
But the Vita version is 1-player only, but I would say I'd recommend any version of Origins. It's great. It's a fun experience, whether single or co-op. The 3DS version is maybe the worst of the lot, so maybe avoid that one, but it's also portable, so trade-off. Minor, PS, Rayman Jungle Run is a mobile title in the same engine that's an auto runner with discrete levels.
Yeah,
it's a really, really great spin-off.
It is. I think it's my favorite mobile platformer, period.
It is really excellent. It is unfortunately delisted from current app stores, so you can't get it anymore. But
that's not true. It's still on the Windows 10 store.
There you go. I've just got out an old iPod Touch, and it's on my account, so I downloaded it onto that.
Also, you can easily sideload an IPA or APK on
You can do that too, yeah. But yeah, play Origins, play the Jungle Run. Fiesta Run's pretty good too, so yeah.
Yeah, but Rayman. Fiesta Run has, gets more into microtransaction territory, which they go whole hog in on adventures.
And adventures, yeah.
Which is sad because, I've watched gameplay of adventures, and it looks like a full discrete game.
It is.
It's just got so much micro stuff in it.
Yeah, it's really bad. It really does ruin the experience, and it's too bad.
Yeah.
So, in that instance, Jungle Run is the most pure, and Origins is also pure because Legends adds a bunch of gimmicky control stuff as well.
Yeah.
So Origins and Jungle Run are the baseline and are really fantastic. Anything spinning off of that is good too.
It's good because it's in the same engine, but also they've just been writing off the strength of the engine since Origins.
Yeah.
So, Rayman Origins, it's good. Get it, folks.
Rayman Origins, yeah, it's on a lot of different platforms, so go ahead.
Oh god,
and play
that came out in 2011. Wow.
Yeah.
That game is almost 10 years old.
I originally played it on the Wii just after Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
So, thanks very much for listening.
Yeah.
Now you know all about Mario and all the things he's done.
Yeah, the 500 hats of Mario.
Yes, very good. So we'll see you next time. I've been Milo.
And I continue to be Gibbon. Ta-ta.
Bye.